All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Elected Validator, the series. Today, we are very fortunate to have the wonderful Mr. or the Universe or Harmony Universe joining us. And I'm sure you've heard about his projects and his contributions to the Harmony ecosystem. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this interview. So welcome, Mr. Universe.
Thank you, Mr. Chowder, sir. I'm happy to be here. It is actually a pleasure to be speaking to you. So thanks for hosting.
The pleasure is all mine. Cool. So I guess tell us a bit more about how you started and entered the Harmony universe. Excuse the pun, but I think you did join in March 2021. What was that like?
That is correct. Yeah, and it seems like you have been listening to my AMAs recently, so I appreciate that. Keeping
that's right. I've done all my homework.
That's very nice of you. So yes, March 2021. Yeah, Harmony was at the top of the charts, and being in crypto, you always want those gains at the top, right? So I started to notice Harmony then. I wasn't a big part of Reddit or Telegram or anything else at the time. That is when I started to notice Harmony, actually. So I joined Reddit first, then I downloaded Telegram and start interacting with the community. And then as you go over time, you learn more about Harmony and you learn about the community, you learn about what you can do. So that led me to become a validator eventually.
All right, but before you became a validator, you had all these ideas and projects that you brought to life. So I think you were very involved in the loot swap to OneFi project, and then you've got the Harmony Universe, which is like the Yelp of Harmony, and then you've got the Atlantis, the game, play to earn games, and you're also like selling NFT lands now. So, so that's quite an amazing transition from becoming an investor, or were you an investor? You were an investor, right? So becoming an investor,
yeah,
and then somehow starting these projects and then becoming a validator. So you are like all in into this community, aren't you?
All in, indeed, yes. Well, I thought it was just going to be about the validator stuff, but if you want to talk more about the projects and what I do, yeah, sure, I'll be happy to jump into those as well. Yes, we started as a guild in Loot Swap, which was just a yield farm. And at the time it was called Arbiter Universe because we wanted to be the arbiter of the Harmony, right? So after a few weeks and once we launched, we figured out that Harmony Universe fits much better to our image. So we kind of rebranded ourselves and had to have a new logo and name and all that. So from there on, we kept having the farm and enjoying the community. Then the project itself got a little bit bigger. We got more people involved, but we also got funding from Harmony at the time, part of their ecosystem grants, right? So they kind of got interested in Harmony Universe and say, let's make this something better, right? So we started doing that. And in the meantime, we launched what we called Harmony Whales at that time, right? It was just the whale NFTs and there was no game or anything. But that itself became Atlantis, what we have today, which is a complete ecosystem with lands, whales, staking, games, racing, and everything else. On top of that, as you obviously know, we have the Validator Universe. We're consistently elected, thanks to everybody who's staking with us. I'm assuming you're staking with me too, because I stake with you, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal my wallet, but I am staking with you. You can trust me on that. No, I do. I actually do. Because a bit off topic, but like before I became an elected validator, you gave tremendous support to my node, and I just wanted to put some support back and do what I could.
Yeah, because you know why I did support you, Chowder?
In these Telegram channels,
because
sorry, it was a bit of lag.
There is, yeah, either on me or on you. I don't know. I was gonna say I supported you because you seem very genuine from the Telegram channels that I've seen your interaction, and you seemed like such a nice guy at the time. I'm like, why not support this guy?
Well, thanks, man. I
so you
was
can
going
become
for the nice
elected
guy.
validator.
I was going for the nice guy image at that time. Not anymore though. I've kind of quit that.
Now that you got elected, you don't have to be that
No,
nice guy anymore.
no, screw those guys. Don't like them. Um, yeah, it's just this. I don't know what's this lag. Is it me or is it? I might try a
Let's blame it
different.
on my internet because
Well, you're
you're
based
on
in
VPN.
Canada now.
No, I'm in San Francisco.
You're still in San Francisco. I thought you were like your
Yeah, your
home
background
base.
is where I'm gonna go after this interview.
I see. Are you gonna have some chowder?
No, just biking.
Oh,
It's good weather today, so I live close by to Golden Gate Bridge. It's about 10 miles from here by bike.
yeah,
So I go there like every once in a while, maybe 15 miles.
that's awesome. I love that area. It's just so chill. Okay, well, going back to the validator stuff, like, I guess today we're supposed to be talking about validators. you know, I kind of get that you're an investor and you built all these projects, and then so what made you pull the trigger and say, okay, now it's time to become a validator? Like, what was the driving force behind that?
I think that the driving force is just to support the ecosystem a little bit more, to become part of it, to become part of harmony a little bit more, support the network, support the foundation, and also obviously have a validator for your project, right? We have the Harmony Universe. Why not have the Harmony Universe validate, right? That was the idea behind it. And initially, when we first launched it, the very first few weeks, we wanted to do our own token. So instead of giving out one rewards, we would buy our token and give those. That didn't go really well, so we just scrapped that idea.
Sure. So when you did start out and you decided to make a validator, did you start on testnet?
No,
Just like me.
Strong minds hold. Tim was helping me at the time, and he's such a wonderful guy. So he set it up in half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever, and we just went mainnet.
I like it. I like it. That's exactly what I did as well. Just go straight for gold.
Yeah.
So I guess that answers the next question, which is like, did you find the validator community helpful when you were trying to set up? So
yes,
I guess you
obviously,
name dropped Tim, but were there any others that kind of helped?
Yeah, obviously I didn't need much help because I had Tim, but at the time he wasn't available because he was either out or something. And there's these beautiful chats that we have, validator initiatives, Validator DAO and everything else. So whenever I post a question in there, somebody would jump in, usually Hank the Crank Coinky, right?
Yep.
She would help a lot. And there are a couple other guys like yourself who would try to help me out. So I am appreciative of the validator community. Mafaz is a big help himself, right? So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, Mafa's like, he's like a silent ninja kind of guy. Like when you need help, he'll appear from the shadows and just help people. It's awesome.
I speak to him on the camera too once in a while, but he's like such a great guy, man.
He is, and he's funny. Like, I think his display picture doesn't do him justice, because that picture looks so, strict and serious, but he's just a really funny guy.
Yeah, that picture is not him at all. So
yeah,
you'll be fooled.
But what was your strategy to get delegators? Or did you feel like because you had so many projects already, you had quite a good reputation, so you weren't too worried about getting delegators?
I wouldn't say I wasn't worried about getting delegators. I would say I was confident that I would get delegators because of the things you mentioned, right? I had the Harmony Universe. I have a good relationship with most of the people, as I know. I have the Atlantis project going on. So I think I have enough of a base that could support the validator. But then again, there are some angels out there who just delegate large amounts, right? And as you know, we always appreciate their support. So
that's right.
With them supporting the validator in the beginning, and still, it was a big part of getting elected early.
Yeah, to this day, I still think about Wallet 19 whenever whenever I can. Yeah.
Into your dreams. You see, I saw
Into my
your new picture.
Yeah, my newborn is called Wallet 19.
You're a funny child. I like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What about like the cost of setting up a node when you were setting up? How much did it cost to get the 10,000 won that was required?
So I had 10,000 won in my wallet, but when I did set it up at that time, it was, I think, about $2,000 or 2,500, somewhere around that. I don't remember the exact amount. Then the cost of setting up the server on DigitalOcean monthly, it's about $150. Sometimes when the network spikes, it goes to 200 something, but average was 150. Recently, last couple of weeks, I switched to Hetzner, and that's when I pay like 55 euros. So it's $60, I guess, 65.
Are you running backup nodes?
No, not at the moment. I'm taking the risk.
Oh, I like it. Straight for gold. Like I love it. I love it.
It's been very stable, honestly. I follow the Validator initiatives guidelines and the mediums, set it up using EasyNode. Very simple steps you can follow. And the performance has been almost as good as DigitalOcean. Sometimes it drops 1 or 2 blocks, but overall, I would say 99.8%.
Yeah, I think with especially with EasyNode and right now we've got the pruned pruned database 0. I think even if something was to go wrong and your server kind of like rest in peace kind of died on you, you can always just spin one up quite quickly.
So when I was telling Jack from Harmony that I am using Hetzner, he was kind of cautious. He said maximum we can have is 2 terabytes and they don't expand it after that. So pruning will come in handy.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, we'll lose like a lot of validators, I think, just because most of them are on like these hosting services that everyone's recommending. Plus, we have to watch out for our budget, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So do you make like guides for your delegators, or do you share other people's guides? How do you support your delegators in that respect?
So the number one support is from the chats that we have. We have the Telegram and Discord, and they're connected with the both. So if you type on Discord, it comes to Telegram, and vice versa. If anybody has questions, they come there. But honestly speaking, Chowder, I've been running the node for what, 4 or 5 months now. I haven't had one single question.
I think like for people who delegate with us, I think they already are quite aware of how delegations work, and we're probably their secondary nodes that they're delegating to. I also haven't had many questions about how do I move wallets and how do I do this and that. But if the time comes and they do ask, we'll be happy to support. So yeah, I think we're in a very similar boat in that aspect.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, there are many useful tools out there with the mediums and guidelines and tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I don't want to just write a guide and say that I'm contributing because I made a guide, but someone else is doing like exactly the same thing. Why not just refer them to this guide, which is awesome, and give credit to the author?
Very true. See, I knew I liked each other. I knew you're a good person.
I think we just work in that that field. I think you're an IT director, and when you have to manage people, you have to bring out the best in them and let them do the things that they're the best. I'm not saying that we're managing the people creating guides. I'm just saying that if they're doing a good job, let them continue.
Encourage them to
exactly
do a better job.
Yeah. So I think when you said that, I can't remember where, I think it was on the talk forum, but when you said that, it really resonated with me. It's like, we should be getting people to do the stuff that they're doing best at and that they're passionate about. So that's why I think we get along.
My motto for my team is whatever you do at your job makes an impact on other people's lives. because we're in the front lines. Yeah. So if you don't like your job, don't do that job, because that will negatively impact the other person that you're handling, right?
Yeah.
If you do like your job, whatever you do, it's going to impact the other person's life positively. So that person will remember you in a positive way. And then you would unnoticingly made a good impact in anybody's lives, right? So that brings me back to the passion thing that you mentioned. If you're passionate about something, you are going to make it as good as it can be, right? So I'm not good at making guidelines or tutorials or anything like that. So people like you who write that stuff, I encourage
Not
people
me.
using your stuff instead of me coming up.
Not me.
Instead of me coming up with something.
But yeah, we've got brilliant people like Coinkin and Brother One, who they write amazing guides, very detailed, all the screenshots. It's lovely. So if I'm gonna attempt to make something, why not just get people to look at the stuff that's done by other people? No, I always thought that your voice was like silky smooth and very
smooth,
calming. Yeah, I would listen to your voice as I go to sleep. Like, no complaints.
Some people say that because my voice makes them sleepy.
Oh, it's just a nice voice. I mean, like, I'm sure your wife would appreciate it. It's very, very mellow. It's like, I can't imagine you getting angry.
I do get angry sometimes, but rarely. So you're right.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your wife, is your family supportive of you, being all into this crypto space, and more particularly setting up a validator where you have to put money in? Yeah, how does your family feel?
Yeah, it's just my wife. So a few months ago, when we were walking down, in our park here, we usually go in around 5:30 p.m. I told her, I think I'm going to go full-time crypto. It's like quit everything and do crypto. So she looked at me, is like, okay. So that was surprising, but long story short, yes, they do support. And the cost of running a validator is not as much compared to some other costs that we have in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows, my projects that I'm involved in, and she does support them. She believes that it's going to be successful. And obviously, we do believe that it's going to be a successful time. That's why we do them. So, long story short, yes, they do support.
That's awesome.
Assuming you also have a job?
Yeah, I have a job. Yeah, I have a job. I'd love to like make crappy memes and make a living off that, but unfortunately, it just doesn't pay. So I do have a full-time job and I manage like a dev team in overseas. So
yeah, that is a hard job.
But today is not about me. Today is about you. So let's get back to you. I already had my interview and I kind of botched that one up myself. So I don't want to kind of steal this this interview and to talk about myself.
You didn't botch your interview at all. I watched some of it. I didn't watch the entire interview, but you were great.
Oh, thank you, man. You just know how to make a guy blush. And especially with your voice. When you first started, I'm sure everyone is interested about the service specs that you had to acquire to run a validator. So from then compared to now, how have things changed?
I think I started as 500 gigabytes of the hard disk, 8 gigs of RAM, and I think it was 2 CPUs, whatever the medium option was at the time. But quickly, once you get selected, it's like, oh, this is not enough. Then you have to immediately upgrade those. So we went to like 1 terabyte and then 16 gigs of RAM and then 4 CPUs, right? So my cost went from $50 to $150.
Yeah.
As soon as I got elected, because I needed to sign and then it was downloading stuff, right?
Yeah. And like, what about like, because you mentioned you were on DigitalOcean before, did you get hit by any like surprise bills where like it just went over budget?
One time I did, but it was like 250 or less than 300 at most. The other time when the network went down, remember a few weeks ago, maybe months now, at that time I turned off the validator. So it wasn't recurring charges. And when we were ready to bring it back up, then we just brought it up. And I think instead of paying like $600, I paid $300 for that month.
Wow, so shutting down your node would have been a big decision. So did you have any like negative impacts from that decision made?
No, because at that time it wasn't signing anyway, right?
Right.
Because
yes.
nobody was signing. The node was not up. So instead of waiting and downloading unnecessary information, we just turned it off. How about you? Did you?
I just left it going.
Keep it up, and you have to pay a lot of money?
Oh no, because I don't think we have those bandwidth charges from Hetzner. I was using Hetzner at that time. So
oh, you're smart. Yeah. Okay. So now I wouldn't do it because I'm using Hetzner.
Yeah. So okay, that's great. So but like, did you have to notify your delegators, and what social media platforms are you normally using to kind of communicate with your delegators?
Well, if I'm going to broadcast a message to my delegators, I usually use the Twitter. If the message is really important, then I of course copy and paste it to Discord and Telegram. But at that time we didn't do it because everybody knew the network was down anyway. Yeah,
sure. So like you mentioned Discord, is that your own Discord, or is that that Harmony Universe? Like there's no separate validator Discord, right? It's part of the Harmony Universe Discord.
Right,
yeah.
It is the same Discord for Harmony Universe and Atlantis. And trust me, Charlie, if you have another Discord, man, you can't keep up.
Yeah, it gets really messy. I totally agree. I'm struggling with one.
Up until the boat that we had to connect the Telegram and Discord, it was just so much time to go in between, right? Now it's just one thing. You can go in either Telegram or Discord and just one message.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're trying to manage so many different social media platforms, but you're only reaching like a handful of people for each channel, it's better to just consolidate and put them together. Okay.
That way it's bigger too.
Yeah. But you mentioned you're in the IT space for your profession. So did you have any like Linux experience beforehand?
I had limited experience. I can read the code, I can type a few lines here and there, but I'm not a dev.
You're more of a managerial position, right?
Yeah, like I can read your code if you write one. I understand what it does. But if you ask me to write the same code, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Sure. Well, when you compare yourself to other validators, what makes you a bit different? Like, how do you feel you stand out?
I don't think I'm much different than anybody else or anything special, in my opinion. I am just a validator, and more than likely I'm elected because I'm using the Harmony Universe name, right? And that is my trademark, so to speak. That makes me special, if you want to put it in that category. And because of the services that we provide to a Harmony community, we feel like we've been appreciated by being delegated and elected.
Yeah, I think I like your way of thinking. It's more grand scheme of things. You're putting your node out there to support the ecosystem. You're not actively trying to bring people in. Your node is there, stake with you if people want. If not, at least it's still there, so that when the time comes that Harmony needs more validators running to become more decentralized, yours is already there. So yeah, I really like that. You're not trying to compete with other people. It's just, here's my node, stake with it if you want, and we're all here to kind of grow Harmony. I think that's what your vision is.
That is exactly what it is. And I'm assuming, or I'm guessing, that you're doing the same thing, because I don't see you going out there and competing with people either.
No, the only thing I can do is put like shitty memes on Twitter. So
it's important to understand that this is not a means of income or a means of making money, right? Because the cost of running the validator far exceeds the rewards that you might get. Especially
well, I guess right now there are still some that can use it as income. I mean, like if you've got like 900 million like Binance,
right.
But for smaller fish like myself, yeah, it's just a way to support the community. So what's the most
You
difficult
engage
part?
with the community, you build relationships with people.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off there.
It's the lag. No, it's not you, it's the lag. I blame the lag.
Yeah. All right. So let's going back to my next question. Like, what is the most difficult part that you think of becoming a validator is?
Yeah, I think obviously the most difficult part is getting elected if you're not known to the community, especially, right? Building that small community, trying to put yourself out there. Because it is difficult because there are some validators trying so hard who bids lower in the lower bounds and gets the available keys which otherwise might go to small unelected validators and give them an opportunity. So going above that hurdle, I think passing that time is the hardest part of being a validator, because setting it up is easy if you have 10,001. Keeping it up to date is easy, and building your community takes a little bit of time, but getting elected and staying consistently elected while those guys out there are sabotaging the small validators is the hardest part, in my opinion. And it's not a simple solution that you can overnight implement and say, okay, you guys don't do that anymore, because I tried. And they always have their own excuses and reasons. So as a community, I think as the time passes by, small validators will have easier time to get elected, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And like myself, when I was struggling to get elected, I would, like, even before you became a validator, you were jumping into Telegram channels and you were pinging people, you were like tagging people. It's like, hey, when's Chowder going to get elected? You know, what are you, who's going to pull some keys for Chowder? I totally remember that. Like, I'll never forget. But yeah, definitely a very uphill battle to get elected. And I'm just glad that we're there now. But you also did the zero commission, is that right? For the 100 epochs?
No, actually, we did not.
Oh,
So
you
in
didn't?
fact, when I was initially mentioning the validator, we were giving out our own token at the time, right? ARB.
Oh yeah,
So it
that's
was
right.
100% fees. So, I would take the one and buy ARB and distribute that instead. But as I mentioned, it didn't pick up. So we slowly bring it back to 5%.
What was your goal for setting up a node to get 100% commission to then give ARB? Is that purely so the validator can support this project?
Exactly, 100% that. It would put a small buy pressure on it. And people who stake with you would be the people who support the project, right? So
Yeah,
they get benefit and your validator supports the project itself.
right. So to this date, do you have any regrets of not continuing with that? Because I think ARB has been going up, right?
Me, no, but people who did stake probably do have regrets. I have zero regrets because at the time it didn't pick up. People were not interested. But then our probably did what, 20x from then, 50x.
Yeah.
People did regret that they didn't get in.
That's always the name of the game in the space. People always look back and it's like, oh damn, I should have done this and that.
So in my opinion, it's okay to be in a project for quick gains, obviously, right? It's normal, but you have to have faith in the project's owners, project, and the direction. If you see that if the direction of the project is something that aligns with your goals long term, not in the 15 days short time frame, then you shouldn't look at the dexscreener.com every day. Yeah. You buy it, it goes down, you don't know. If it goes up 2 weeks, 2 months from now, then you know that you already made a good investment, right? Then you can go back and check dexscreener. So that's why sometimes you have to think long term.
Yeah. So I guess now that your node is like constantly being elected, are you doing anything further to try and continue growing your validator, or are you pretty happy with where you are right now?
If I say I'm really happy, I would be lying, but I think it is stable at the moment, right? With a few large supporters, I like to call. I'm not giving any updates I used to do on Twitter, with this many delegators and all. I did think about resuming those tweets, so I may start doing that again. But I am so focused and so consumed in Atlantis right now that I'm not too much focusing on advertising the validator itself. It's
Sure.
doing its job though, right? It's helping people. It's constantly elected, and I am monitoring, of course, daily. So I may
Oh,
start doing that again.
oh, awesome. Yeah, because the next question was like, how often do you actually like need to monitor your node? I
Yeah,
guess you just
daily.
answered
We have
it.
the Telegram bots from Harmony Smart Stake Analytics, right? I
Mhm.
use that. Um, again, of course, I go to check the server every day, so things are fine. It's a daily job. It doesn't take too long, right? 5-10 minutes to check it out, see everything's fine.
I guess like for any new people interested in becoming a validator, what are your insights that you want to share with them, or what advice do you think they should probably keep in mind before setting one up?
Technically or community-wise.
Anything. Like,
Yeah,
if you were
anything.
to
So I
meet
think
with a new validator and you were to kind of hand them over this nice little treasure box of information of what you've learned, what would be inside that treasure box?
so from the technical standpoint, the resources are there. They can just follow anything that you guys have from the Validator DAO perspective, the mediums, the videos, and the easy tutorials and everything else to set up their server and the node. That's the easy part. Anybody can do that. The part that requires some effort, and the good effort, is building the community and making sure that you actually reach out to people, right? So that starts with Reddit if you're on there, Telegram if you're on there, Discord if you're on there, Twitter if you're on there, right? You talk to people, you make sure that you can let them understand you're actually trying to bring value to the foundation, to the community, rather than trying to make money, right? Obviously, trying to make money is the ultimate goal, but that shouldn't be the first goal, right? The first goal should be being part of the community, making a positive contribution. And when people realize that you do that, like yourself, when you were doing it, right, then you start gaining people's support. And then that support spreads like wildfire. Oh, this is a good guy. Let's just support him, right? Eventually that support becomes your income, and now you can quit your job.
Is that the end goal for you? Like, are you near that position where you can focus on crypto full time? This is kind of an off-topic kind of question.
The end goal, yes, I do want to do the crypto full time. In fact, it's taking more time right now than my regular job, right? As you might imagine,
Yeah.
with the communities and all. But I still like my job, as I still like to help people. So I don't know when I'm going to make that transition. We have another big project coming, 1.5, that is going to take a lot of time itself. So this is going to be a big year to decide whether we're staying as is or moving on full time.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be terrified, but excited at the same time.
Yeah.
I guess I've got a kind of question that I think all people are very interested in hearing about is like, because you've recently become part of the grants team, I think. Yeah, the grants team. How did that happen? Like, did you actively ask them to join, or did they approach you to kind of?
It's a little bit of both, mostly me approaching, obviously, right? So last year, when Harmony had the day one event in San Francisco in December, I went there. I met people, Give, Jack, Lee, and everybody else. And I spoke with Jack, and he mentioned that they might be needing some help in the grants committee. So I put myself forward and I said, okay, I'm willing to help. I'm actually very excited about it. So some time passed by and we did a few interviews with Jack and Give. And I went to the headquarters in Palo Alto, which is like 45 minutes away. Met with Steven. And eventually, I'm not part of the team, but I am part of the committee as a contributor, right?
Right. Would you be interested in being part of the team?
Yeah, they are awesome people. All of them, Give, Jack, Daniel, Lee, anybody that you can name. They're all good people. They do a lot of good work behind the scenes that is not being seen by the community. And they're super busy working like bees. and being part of a team like that where everybody's treated equal, yeah, I think anybody would want that.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to join, but with the whole like COVID thing before, I couldn't fly anywhere, and yeah, and it's because it's in all happens in America.
We are about to yeah, what happens in America stays in America.
Well, yeah, it's just hard for me to join those kind of events, but if they ever come to Australia, I'll be definitely be meeting all of them.
Why do I always think you're from New Zealand? There's something wrong with me.
I think the flag is kind of confusing because it looks very similar. The Australian
No,
flag.
it's not the flag.
It's not that?
I am
Okay.
familiar with the flags.
But yeah, I'm from Sydney, Australia. But yeah, I think that's all the questions I had, in terms of like a validator to validator perspective. Is there any final comments that you'd like to share with everyone? Any advice, any feedback, any lessons learned?
Yeah, for the OG validators there, for people who are helping the new guys trying to get their foot in or be stable validator, for the help they're doing, I really appreciate that. Lots of good people out there trying to help as much as they can, so that's really much appreciated. Big shout out to team. I think I should mention that, right? Strong Minds Hold. Big shout out to that guy called Coin Chowder. I really like that guy. He's pretty good. For the new validators, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you're going to cut that part, but they should just start building their community and try to contribute positively. And that's all I can say.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, like I'm very curious about that Coin Chowder guy. So I'll definitely look him up after this call. I guess I'll stop recording here. But yeah, it was really lovely to have you and put aside some time for us and let us know your story. So on behalf of everyone, I thank you for your time, Mr. Universe.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Chowder. Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was fun talking to you. And I appreciate you reserving this spot for me.
No problems at all. Yeah, I'll stop the recording here. Thank you so much.